100 games.
Yeah.
Must make you feel pretty proud.
Yeah, it does. It's been a little while. I've been at the club 7 years now, and played my first year reserves at East Fremantle, and then league at East Fremantle, and then sort of made my way into the AFL through a bit of hard work. So it's been good. It's taken a little while, but it's really good to be here now.
And it has been tough for you to actually, become a regular player. But over the last couple of years, you cemented your spot pretty easily.
Yeah, it has been. It's been tough, and it's taken a while. Like I said, I was only 17 when I got drafted, and I was at the time probably a 50-50 whether I was going to get drafted at all. So it was surprising but exciting at the same time just to be on the list. And then from there, it's been hard work trying to get it to play regular AFL footy. And at the moment, to be 100 games in, hopefully, touch wood, it's really good. Yeah.
Do you think you have to play sort of, your 50 to 100 games before you become pretty comfortable with the competition? When did you start feeling comfortable as an AFL player?
Well, I'm never really 100% comfortable. It gets a little bit easier as you go along, but Ross has said that I think about 100 games he thinks is your apprenticeship as an AFL footballer. So it's been tough. The 50 game was a good little milestone to start there, and then to make it to 100. And I'm not 100% comfortable ever, but yeah, it's good.
At what point did you start believing that it was within reach, though? Garrick, how many games did you have to play before you thought, well, I probably can get good at this?
I think after I'd sort of made about 50, I played relatively consistently from then, and I hadn't had too many injuries either at that stage. And I think I never really knew that I was going to play 100 games. I could have a bad injury tomorrow and it might be the end of it. So you never really know whether you make it or not. And I think that once I'd started playing relatively consistently, I was always looking forward to hopefully making another milestone like that. But I never knew it was coming until probably today.
David Mundy said the other day, you have exceptional physical capabilities and have maybe dropped away a little bit in application at different times. Do you subscribe to that? And if you do, have you gotten better at that over the years, do you think?
Yeah, that's something that I've probably been lucky to be blessed with physical capabilities, like David said. I came into the club pretty skinny and relatively quick, so it's something that I've been able to work on. I obviously had to build my body mass a little bit, and that's been something that I've been working on since I've been here. But the application that you're talking about, I missed a game earlier in the season. Ross had said to me that he thinks I could probably give more than what I was, and once I'd sat down and watched the derby from the sidelines and sort of had a look and see how hard it is to watching your teammates play, knowing that you could be out there contributing, it was really, really tough. And that's something that I've really taken on board, and I use it as motivation for me. I like to make sure that I'm giving 100% all the time and making sure I'm doing everything I can to be as good as I can.
Has your role changed a little bit too in the second half of the year? You seem to be up and around the middle a little bit more than you were earlier when you were coming mainly back.
Yeah, it has changed a little bit. I think I'll play a bit of wing and half-back majority of the year, depending on different games. But that's pretty much been where I've been for my whole career, wing and half-back at different stages. Played a little bit at half-forward, but this year it's been relatively the same. A little bit more in the midfield in the second half, like you mentioned, but nothing too much has changed, no.
Garrick, do you think you could look back on that time you were dropped this year as the turning point in your career?
I wouldn't say it's a turning point. It was an experience that obviously has helped me, and it's built me as a person to go through something like that. I've missed games through injury and different things, and I've been close before, but to actually be able to sit out and watch in the grandstand, especially a derby, to be in the crowd and listening to the crowd going and knowing that how much you want to be out there and knowing that I could contribute if I was doing everything I could for the team. But it's definitely been a learning curve for me and something that's going to help me build as a person, yeah.
Is that the Ross Lyon factor? We've heard about Michael Walters and how he had to get his skin folds down, and even crowds at the back lost a fair bit of weight. Is that the influence he's had and the change that maybe he's had on this footy club?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, you've seen with Michael Walters and crowds losing weight, like you said, but I think it's just everyone pulling their weight around the club, and Ross has certain markers that he wants everyone to make sure they're achieving throughout the year. And through pre-season, it was 3K time trials and skin folds and different things like that. And throughout the year, nothing's changed. He still maintains a certain expectation on everyone to keep those sort of markers up, and that was something that he has brought to the club. He's really strong on that, and he makes sure everyone sticks to it.
Do you think you would have made the finals this year if the same had been last year?
It's hard to say. I don't really know. It's something that it just gives everyone the best opportunity to play well and 100% of the time, and that's what he's been about since he's come here. So I couldn't really say about last year. No.
Garrick, you started playing footy a little bit later than most, I think, in juniors. When did you realise AFL was going to be a possibility?
I didn't start playing footy until I was about 14, and even then I switched over from soccer halfway through the year just to fill in for Bull Creek Leeming. And at the time for me it was just the enjoyment of the game. I really enjoyed playing football more than I enjoyed soccer, and I had tried out for schoolboys but didn't get there, and it sort of seemed like a minor possibility, but I never really knew, even until the day that I was drafted. I was still only a 50-50 chance of getting drafted as it was, so I didn't really know until I was actually drafted on that day. So for me it was just really the enjoyment of playing footy, and then it happened relatively quickly from about the time I was 16 or 17.
So after being dropped, do you think you're starting to come back into your best form again now?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's still improvement there, obviously, to be had going into the end of the season and into my career further. But that was something that to go through. I think it's in the back of my head now. It keeps me motivated, and it makes me make sure that I'm giving everything that I can. And at least if I'm doing that, then I know there's nothing else I can give.
This week against Melbourne, Gareth, what do you try and get out of this game?
Me personally,
The team.
the team, obviously, it's the last game of the season. We want to make sure that we finish off really strong. That's been a focus for us all year, make sure that we go 1 week at a time. We've had a really strong emphasis in our training, make sure we train the way that we want to play, and that's been something that I think has really improved in the second half of the season. We haven't been looking any further than a week ahead of each game. So Melbourne for us is like every other game, give all the effort we can and make sure that we come away with a win.
I think with Drew Petrie said you're the hardest team he's played this year. Does that, I guess, fit in with what you want to be as a footy club?
Absolutely. It's good to hear, especially from someone like him. He's had a fantastic season and they've been playing really good footy up until right the way through the end of the season. So to have someone like that say something about us, that it really shows that we're moving in the right direction, and that's something that we want to make sure we can continue, obviously, to build on. It's something that Ross has brought with him, really defensive mindset to make sure we work into the attacking side of things too. But to hear that from Drew Petrie is outstanding.
Does it also indicate that you've all really grasped Ross's game plan?
We're getting there. Earlier in the season we had a few problems scoring, and that was something that was brought up a lot in the media and something that we had to work around, but it is hard to grasp a new game plan. Ross brought something completely different to what we were used to, and it does take a little while to learn. On paper you can get a grasp of it and sort of have an idea, but during the games it's thinking on the spot and trying to make sure we can get it done during a game sense. It's a little bit different. So we're going to keep improving, and then going into next year with a new pre-season and a few more training will be better.
Have you allowed yourself to get a little bit excited that you're playing finals footy?
No, not at all. Melbourne's our number one focus, like I said before, 1 week at a time for us, and focus on training first, preparation, and making sure that we recover from the previous game to give us the best chance against Melbourne, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, but would you typically know what's happened in the day's football before you go to a night game? Like, so Geelong and Sydney are playing in the day game.
Mm-hmm.
Would you watch that? Would you be aware, do you think, of the result by the time you get to the footy?
I don't think I'd watch it, no. I'd prefer to focus on the game that we're going to be playing. I have a preparation that I'll go through, and watching another game doesn't really fit into that.
Would the boys, but would the boys say, or someone come in and say, "I just see Sydney won today," or "Geez, Geelong look good," or anything like that? Would that happen?
I don't think so, no. We don't speak to each other until we get to the ground, and once we're there, it's all about us. So it's what we want to do for Melbourne this week is the number one thing for us. And once we're there, it's just our footy, our preparation, and that's it.
What about West Coast? I mean, would you rather play West Coast than travel to Melbourne to play the final?
Doesn't matter for us. We want to be in 100% anywhere, anytime team, and whether that's home or away makes no difference to us. It's Melbourne's first, and then from there we'll see.
But David Mundy said that you guys had talked about the Gold Coast game, the Gold Coast result. So you don't think you'll talk about the Geelong one later in the day, or?
Have we talked about the Gold Coast result since the game?
Yeah, before the game started, he mentioned that there was a conversation had that the game that Gold Coast had beaten Carlton, so you guys were aware of it?
Well, we were away at the time, and that was the night before, so we'd had almost a whole day. So we had seen that in the paper and that sort of thing before, but it didn't matter for us anyway. If it had been after our game, it made no difference whether it was a win or a loss, and it didn't change the fact we still wanted to beat North Melbourne and really had to beat North Melbourne. So, yeah, nothing changes.
Pav going to play, do you think?
I'm not sure. He said he trained pretty well yesterday, and we'd obviously like him to be playing, but if he's not ready, then that's a decision that him and the medical staff will make, and we proved last week that we can win without him. It's fantastic to have him there, but yeah, it's up to him.
You didn't train today. Did you train yesterday as well,
or? Yeah, I did some recovery yesterday on the bike, and I had a swim this morning. Pretty light.
No big problem?
No, nothing at all.